And Facebook's oversight board has decided to uphold the site's suspension of former President Donald Trump, but left the door open for him to be allowed back on the platform in the future. The board agreed with the decision to restrict Trump's access to posting content on his Facebook page and Instagram account, but said it was not appropriate for Facebook to impose an indefinite suspension, calling it a standardless penalty. Facebook, Twitter, and several other social media companies banned Trump for their platforms after the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Facebook then referred the matter to this oversight board for review. So I want to bring in Jonathan Greenblatt now, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, for a little bit more on this. Jonathan, first off, thanks for being here. I know that you've been outspoken about this whole issue. You tweeted yesterday that Trump's accounts were, quote, used to promote sedition and incite violence, and we have no reason to believe this would change if he regains access. So what's your reaction to this decision, essentially saying, fine, he's still suspended for now, but Facebook has 6 months to now reevaluate this?
Well, look, what I learned when I was a kid, you don't get a cookie for showing up to class. You know, ADL is the oldest anti-hate group in the world. We've been tracking hate for over 100 years. And the fact is that President Trump was promoting hate, spreading disinformation, and encouraging violence on his platform, not just in the run-up to January the 6th, but for years before. And that, simply put, is a violation of Facebook's terms of service. And there was this fiction, you see, that there's an exemption for political leaders. But political leaders are citizens like all of us. And nowhere in America, despite the First Amendment, right, does it accommodate for, freedom of speech? Yes. Freedom of slander? No. Freedom of expression? Yes. But the freedom to incite violence? No. And so that is not protected speech. Now, again, it violated Facebook's own terms of service. So we believed he should have been banned like anyone else who violated the terms of service years ago. What Facebook did in punting this decision to their quote unquote oversight board was essentially kick the can down the road. And now the oversight board has made what we appreciate is the right decision on the basis of the facts. But the real fact of the matter is that no one is above the law. And we have a challenge on our hands when a company of this size, right, is making decisions, arbitrating on the future of our democracy. That in of itself, I think, is the real problem here. So yes, Trump his suspension is continued, and that matters. But what matters more is we solve the bigger problem, which is a company whose systems, I think, again, run up against what the systems of our democracy, and that's what we need to be talking about.
Now, Trump has blasted these bans, not just Facebook, but the others that also banned him. He says he's being censored. And the Anti-Defamation League itself has said in the past that the best answer to hate speech isn't censorship, but more speech. So why doesn't that apply here?
It certainly does apply here. It certainly does. But again, let's be clear. Inciting violence is not protected speech under the First Amendment. You know, if you walked into a Starbucks and you screamed at the customers, right? You yelled at them. The Starbucks manager, what would they do? They would throw you out of the store. If I walked into the lobby of ABC News and screamed at the people at the front desk, the security would throw me out because it isn't protected speech. Businesses have the right to control who they publish or don't.
So let me ask you this.
The editorial prerogative. So Donald Trump can say what he wants to say. He just doesn't have to say it on Facebook.
Now, what you're citing, though, there, the Constitution, those are legal precedents. So you're saying that, are you saying that this shouldn't really be a Facebook thing? This should be a legal thing, and he should be held legally accountable for these posts?
Well, I think that you could certainly take it to that extent. But the issue at hand today is, does Facebook have to give him a platform on their service? And the answer is no, they do not. They do not, because as a business, they get to decide who they privilege and who they don't. And Donald Trump should abide by he should be held to the same standard as every other user of Facebook. And if you violate the terms of service, you don't get to play on the platform. Simple.
And it sounds like the board is saying that they have 6 months now to lay out what their decision is based on the way they would handle it for any other user. But I know you've also spoken out against Facebook's policies when it comes to making these decisions. You wrote on Twitter that we did not need 4 months and an unaccountable secretive process to tell us what we already knew, that Donald Trump should be permanently banned from Facebook. So how do you think these decisions should be made?
Well, I think first and foremost, the reality is that Mark Zuckerberg, an unelected person, shouldn't hold sway over what, half the world's planet is able to see or read or hear. I think we need federal oversight for Facebook as a communications platform, just like we have it over broadcast, radio, print, and every other traditional terms of media, right? So I do believe that that's really what we need here, is a different kind of oversight in general. Now, the reality is that they created this oversight board to create the imprimatur of objectivity. But let's be clear, a board that is selected by Facebook, promoted by Facebook, and ultimately has a fiduciary responsibility to Facebook, is making decisions in guess whose best interests? Facebook. I'm talking here, though, about the public interest. And as an organization that's been fighting hate, like I said, for over 100 years, we know hate when we see it. We know the danger to democracy when we see it. And the threat that President Trump represents is a clear and present danger that shouldn't get the privilege of being on any major mainstream platform. I do believe, again, in freedom of speech, I do believe that you have the right, fringe ideas have the right to be heard. But let's keep fringe ideas on the fringe, not at the forefront.
And Jonathan, you helped organize an advertiser boycott in order to try to pressure Facebook to take action on this. Where does that effort stand now?
Well, we had over 1,200 of the biggest brands in the world, including Disney, your parent company, as well as Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Starbucks, well over 1,200 companies all join us, some of the most famous celebrities in the world. They all stood by us again when our coalition, Stop Hate for Profit, called for Trump to be banned on January the 6th. They're all literally waiting in the wings looking for direction. So, I think from Stop Hate for Profit's point of view, from the ADL's point of view, we're ready to mobilize if we see another moment, and we certainly will do just that.
All right, Anti-Defamation League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt, thanks for your time today, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.